Yeah. So right now I'm in Guayaquil, Ecuador, which is a city in the western coast of Ecuador. Ecuador is a country in South America. It's located south of Colombia and north of Peru. And so I've been traveling for about a month now, maybe a little over, and I really wanted to make this video to kind of share some things I've learned along the way. And for those of you who are contemplating or planning a trip to South America, especially for budget traveling or just anyone planning on traveling around here, I wanted to share some things that I picked up along the way. And the reason I'm making this video right now is because I oftentimes will forget some of the things I learned or the places I've been to, so I figured might as well kind of capture that, and so it can help someone else like it helped me. So for the most part, when I travel, I try to find the cheapest accommodations and the cheapest ways to get around for transportation. And the best part about most places around the world is that many places have excellent public transportation, at least the ones I've been to. And from my experience in South America, for sure, especially like Colombia. When I was in Colombia, most big cities had some sort of public transportation, but there was buses or like a train, like a metro. And I think that's wonderful because you can get from place A to place B really fast and really cheap. And so, and I highly recommend that because it's one thing to be in a new city and learning your way around, but if you just take a cab or taxi everywhere, you're not going to learn the directions. Like, one of the best parts about traveling is kind of like picking up on how to get to different places and learning about the surroundings, the different neighborhoods, or in Spanish it's called barrios. And so I particularly love going to different neighborhoods and all the different cities or towns I go to, and every place is just so dynamically different from the next. And the best way to learn about a place is to walk on your feet and get to explore the neighborhood around you. And the best way to do that is to take maybe like a bus or a train or some sort of public transportation to get there. That way you kind of learn where everything is, and it's fairly easy to get a hold of like a map. If you don't understand the local language, I would say learn it. Don't go to a new place expecting them to know English or whatever your primary language is. You should always try to learn the language that is local. And remember that it's not like you have to know it perfectly. It's not a test. You can always learn just a few basic phrases and kind of learn more as you go and keep practicing. Don't just navigate or gravitate towards English when someone tries to talk to you. Try to talk to them in their language. You may butcher a few words, you may mispronounce things, you may definitely mess up the conjugations like I do, but you're trying, and that's what matters. So I have a similar story. Actually took a cab. I know I said don't take cabs, but like sometimes you do have to take a cab for safety purposes. And when I came to Guayaquil, there were like 50 buses outside the bus station, and I had just taken like a 4-hour bus ride from Cuenca, which is one of my new favorite small cities or towns. It's not really a town, it's a city. It's a large city, but it feels like a small town within a small city, if that makes sense. It's very colonial and historic place, so I highly recommend it if you're in Ecuador, Cuenca. But anyway, I took a 4-hour bus ride from there, so I was so tired at the end of it. Although I was just being in a bus, I don't know why I felt tired, but with the 2 book bags, I was like, I need to take a cab, and it was only $4. They use US dollars here for currency in Ecuador, so it makes things easier. So sometimes you do have to take a cab for safety purposes, and the reason I did that was because I was specifically told to take a cab. But once I figure out the bus system, of course I'm going to use that. Normally I figure that out. So where was I? In Cuenca. Yes, I took a bus from my hostel, and to get from my hostel to the bus station was only 25 cents. Now that meant me with 2 book bags standing on the bus for like 15 minutes until I got a seat, and then being shoved in the seat with 2 book bags, one in front of me, one behind me, and for another like 15 minutes we got to the bus stop. But it's okay. That's part of the journey. Through the discomfort, you kind of find comfort, and you learn to adjust. That's how people travel, so locally. So that's what you do. And so I highly recommend bus travel. Buses are very affordable, And a great way to get around, especially in South America. A lot of backpackers and travelers I met, they take buses everywhere. Now, sometimes you have to take a plane because you don't have like 7 months or 10 months to be traveling. Like for me, I only have 2 months. So what I do is I try to take planes for very long distances, but within the country, I try my best to take buses. So basically, from Quito, the capital of Ecuador, I took a bus to Baños, which was about 4 hours and $4. From Baños, I took a bus to Cuenca, which was like, it was an overnight bus, I think like 7 hours. And that was an interesting overnight bus journey, but I felt safe. Not once did I feel unsafe on an overnight bus, and a lot of people are super friendly, so you just kind of befriend locals, especially if you speak their language. Like it's very easy to get to know people around you. And then from Cuenca, I took another bus to Guayaquil. So this was $8, and I was like, $8 for 4 hours? So just to be sure, I asked the lady next to me who's Ecuadorian, and she's like, yeah, that's how much she paid too. So I was like, okay, so I wasn't ripped off because I'm like a foreigner. Just want to make sure. So always like double check prices. You don't want people to take advantage of you because they notice you're a foreigner. That's one of my tips. And always make sure that like before getting on a bus, you go to the bathroom. No matter what, go to the bathroom. Even if you don't have to pee, just go pee. Just do it, okay? This is from experience. Now, on the planes, of course, there's bathrooms, right? Even on the buses, a lot of these buses are kind of like luxurious buses, although they don't always feel like it. That's what they are. And they have a bathroom supposedly somewhere on the bus, but you can't trust that there's a bathroom, even if there is. So like I said, you were sitting on the bus, and then you're at the window seat, and then there's someone next to you that you don't know, and that person falls asleep, because everyone falls asleep on the bus for the most part, right? So you don't want to wake them up. So now you have like 4 hours in front of you, and you're like, oh well, I don't have to pee, right? And next thing you know, 10 minutes into the ride, you have to pee. So you're trying to trick your brain into thinking you don't have to. So the next 4 hours, you're trying so hard to just fall asleep and pretend like you're not human. Like you don't have bodily functions. Like you don't have to pee. Just like pretend like, but it's okay. I made it. This was the second time that happened. It happened on an overnight bus from Salento, which is a small town in Colombia, to going back to Bogota. I took it by flight. And the lady next to me was kind of like an elderly lady, and she was sleeping, and it was like in the Andes Mountains, and you know, it's turbulent ride, and then there's like, it's middle of the night, so people are sleeping, so I don't want to wake her up, so I just kind of had to like pretend like tell my mind that I'm okay, like I don't have to go to the bathroom. But yeah, it happens. Like just go to the bathroom before you go on a bus, no matter what. And my other tip is just, you know, try to pack minimally. Take as little as you can with you. I mean, if you want to see how much I have, I can show you. So I don't know if you can kind of see in the distance. So it's just like I have one big book bag and one like day pack. My day pack is like foldable, so I can put it in my big book bag if I wanted. And it makes things easier because I don't have 50 million things to unpack and pack again. I just have basic necessities. I have a few pairs of clothes, which I try to do the laundry every few days. And then I have like just basic stuff, like, you know, like shampoo, things like that. Like, so just don't pack excessive stuff you don't need. Like for instance, like I don't need a hair straightener or hair dryer or stuff like that. I don't even use that. Like I think the air is wonderful for drying my hair. So if like for females, for instance, like if you want to pack it, then by all means go for it. It's your trip, you take what you want with you. But if you're not going to use it, don't take things with the idea or notion that, oh, what if I need it? Like what if I just want to curl my hair? Like no. Like yeah, okay, if you really want to, then do it. But if you know that you're most likely 99% of the time not going to use that equipment, don't take it. Don't take extra stuff. You can live with that stuff. And if you need something, you can always get it. This isn't the middle of the jungle. And even when I was in the Amazon, like, I wasn't that far away from the nearest town that had everything I could possibly need. And so, just pack minimally. Highly recommend that. And it's easy when you're on a bus because you don't have to worry about, like, leaving things behind or having space to put your stuff. So my book bag goes under the bus with the other storage stuff that everyone puts there, and then my big book bag goes there, and my small day pack is on my lap. So it's easier that way. Don't put your book bag on the overhead bin or under your seat because people can steal it. Put it on your lap. Anything valuable, put it on your lap. So I highly recommend that. The other tip is, besides just taking buses to try to get from one place to another within a country, and planes for long distance, is also try to just kind of go with the flow. So this is one of the things I kind of regret because I only had like 2 months, which is still a long time. I know it's hard for people to even get a week off sometimes, so I feel incredibly blessed. But even for like 2 months, sometimes it's hard to kind of just be too spontaneous because you have to have a day to come back, and that means you have to have some sort of an itinerary. And for me, like, I planned meticulously for this trip because of that, because I knew I had to get back and I had so much work to do when I get back to my home, I guess. But at the same time, like, I left some room for last minute plans and changes, and I've changed so much, like last minute trips to random towns close to the city or far from the city, like 8-hour bus ride from the city. But I loved it. Like, the last minute plans are the best. Like, one of my best experiences in Colombia was going to Salento, which is a small town about 8 hours from Bogota, and it's known for its coffee plantations and also for like, there's like this area which Cocoa, which is full of like palm trees and really beautiful in the mountains, and you can go hiking. So that was the last minute plan I had, thanks to some people I met at the hostel and became friends with. So I loved it, and